Hatred, some say, is a very strong word. Shouldn't be used very often. However, in Mohammed bin Sulaim's example, you guys know me, I will make special dispensation, mitigating circumstance, because as far as this sport that we all know and love, this chap is sabotaging it now. Indeed, bringing the sport into disrepute. Now, some of the naysayers will say, Cameron, what are you talking about, chap? Why are you always leveraging the isms at the likes of Mohammed bin Sulaim and at Checo Perez? Well, the only ism that we need to talk about here is criticism. Valid ones. And when you talk about isms when there is no need to, all you do is undermine true and actual examples of isms. Bill Belichick, head coach of the New York Patriots, used to say, do your job. Mohammed bin Sulaim evidently hasn't been taking this advice. I say again, for the avoidance of doubt, over the past 36 months et al., this fella has been doing everything but that as far as his role as the head of the FIA. What are we talking about here? Institute the rules and regs in a way that is consistent, clear, obvious, concisely and transparently. Mohammed bin Sulaim has not done anything of the sort. Indeed, all I see is that dude front and centre trying to kiki with the likes of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. He wants to be his Beyonce to their Kelly Rowland. What are we talking about? What's happened to the likes of Jean Todt, who was a silent, competent partner? This dude, all he does is reeks of loudness and incompetence concurrently. What are we doing? How are we here, Jay and Funky? I think it's a disgrace that Formula One finds itself in this pickle, genuinely, as at May of 2024. And let's go through some of the examples if you don't believe me. Let's talk about Lewis Hamilton crossing a track. Again, these rules, for the avoidance of doubts, are meant to be instituted in a way that is concise, consistent and transparent, consistent across all related parties, most notably drivers. So how does Lewis Hamilton cross the track, which is dangerous, by the way, but is victimised, made an example of, because he's a mainstream superstar? What? This is rules and regulations. Rules surely are rules for each of the 20 drivers. I only say that to say, surely then, you cannot make an example out of a Lewis Hamilton or a Max Verstappen or a Fernando Alonso just because they are mainstream stars. This is not how rules in sports work. What are we doing? I just can't with this chat. Even let's talk about the rules. Have you guys ever dived into the rules and had a read? It makes no sense. No wonder that the stewards have difficulty instituting them, because the rules are an absolute shambles. Clear and concise is everything that they are not. Terms and conditions, if you guys have ever worked with contracts or documents such, terms and definitions are a page or two at the outset, up front in the preface. For Pete's sake, where are those? What are we talking about when we're referring to an apex, a combined entry or exit, an overtake? What are we talking about? In order to make sense of these, you need to have terms and definitions up front in the document. Where are these? And I say all that to say these rules and regs, the sporting code of conduct even, are not worth the paper that they are written on. They are written as if a 5-year-old has penned them. For Pete's sake. And context is important, right? For a rinky-dink formula call, if this were banger racing, that would be sufficient, absolutely. But this is not banger racing, chat. This is Formula One. Billion-dollar sporting entity, the greatest in the world, the upper echelon of motorsport. What are we doing? Now, an interesting twist is that the European Union has mandated that there is scheme of delegation, separation between Formula One and the FIA, Formula One being the commercial arm, FIA being the regulatory body, apparently. And the two shouldn't mix, right? There should be a clear dividing line, a Chinese war even, between the two, if both of them are to be able to do their job properly within scope. I don't understand how this has taken so long. Indeed, a lot of the problems, the controversy that was 2021 is born of the fact that there was not a line between the two. If you work in a bank, the front office guys, the guys who sell, cannot be back office too. They then would be marking their own homework, right? This is not permissible, not allowed, not good process. Thank God that the European Union have instituted this, but Mohammed Ben Sulayem doesn't care about this as the head of the FIA. Do you know how I know? How is he talking about the asset value of Formula One when there are potential suitors looking to bid, saying that the asset value is too high? A, Mohammed bin Sulayem, how do you know this? B, this isn't your remit. C, as the FIA, again, procurer of regulatory services for Formula One. If there is a statement, surely, that you are going to make Mohammed Ben Sulayem head of the FIA, the regulatory body, surely you're going to seek to increase the asset of Formula One, not decrease it. Not say that this asset value is too high, unless you are a saboteur. How else can I construe this? Now, you know I like to trot out Hanlon's razor as a thesis, as a thought experiment even. Hanlon's razor has it that you should never attribute to malice that which you can attribute to stupidity. But the extent of the FIA in the hands of Mohammed bin Sulayem's stewardship, the extent of their stupidity is now such that I don't think it fits within this Hanlon's razor box. This is sabotage. No more or no less. Now, when it comes to Andretti, we've got another conversation to have, don't we, Jay? Right, some engineers are better than others. They read what's in there and some can't read what's in. Jay, you're killing me. But listen, let's talk about this. Because Andretti is key now. And this is where there's going to be two key areas where this incompetence is manifest. The first being Andretti. So now Mohammed Ben Sulayem, being the attention seeker, the megalomaniac that he is, and again, this is why lots of people are leaving that institution, because they can't be associated with that fella, nor can they work for him and his incompetence. However, as far as the Andretti thing is concerned, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, being the megalomaniac that he is using this as a power play, owing to the separation, the segmentation of duties between the FIA and the commercial rights holder. Now, if there is to be a new entrant in Formula One, then both of those bodies need agree, both the commercial rights holder and the regulatory body, if I can even get my bloody words out. So that means both need to co-sign, right? Mohammed Ben Sulayem tried to leverage that for political value. What is he doing? Not for the good of the sport. None of his intentions are pure. It is all a big power grab, and that's not good. That is bringing the sport into disrepute, is it not? Now, Andretti Global, I would argue, haven't helped themselves necessarily. It's a hearts and minds exercise. You can't go in there elbows out trying to force the hands of the 10 F1 teams currently on the grid in May of 2024. That's never going to end well for you. Andretti haven't helped themselves with this US congressional thing, which absolutely has no cause. That's not going to work. Liberty Media are indeed an American company, for Pete's sake. I'm reminded of Serena Williams at the US Open complaining to the umpire about sexism and misogyny when over the other side of the net was another female player in Naomi Osaka. How can that hold water? What are you talking about, Andretti Global? What, claiming xenophobia and nationalism, anti-competitive rules and regs when US company, Liberty Media, own the commercial. What are we doing? Not going to stick. And I think FIA in the hands of Mohammed bin Sulayem are similar. Surely foster some rapport at this stage. But ultimately, because these guys don't understand that and hearts and minds, sadly, for the F1 community and for the teams that are trying to become new entrants, sadly, Mohammed bin Sulayem has sabotaged them too. High Tech are currently trying to sue F1, the FIA even, for denying their entry to F1 on financial grounds. Well, how would you know, FIA? How could you deny High Tech on financial grounds when the European Commission say that you have nothing to do with money? They do not understand their scope, or if indeed they understand it, they do not want to abide by it, since the European Commission say that they have nothing to do with commercial bits, not the FIA. That's F1, that's Liberty Media, FOM, taking those out of financial stuff. The second area where this is going to affect safety. The FIA as their remit have 2 or 3 things. Safeguarding, absolutely one of them. Levelling the landscape as far as competition is concerned. Both of those have absolutely dropped. Where are they with those? Too concerned with being Beyonce to Kelly Rowland. Like, what are we doing, Mohammed bin Sulayem? It's absolutely not bloody acceptable. And the most important of those remits is safety. Look, check this out. You're saying, Jay, Ahmed too, we just don't want somebody cleaning house, and Mohammed bin Sulayem didn't do that. It's chaotic, Jay. What's Funky saying? Appreciate it when Cam. I'm so sorry, Funky. It's not acceptable. I hate being tardy. And sometimes you got to juggle some balls and spin some plates. Let me make this point, yeah, before we have a cheeky chin wag. Because as far as the FIA's remit, the principal one, the most important of them all, is always going to be safety, right? Now, why Mohammed bin Sulayem is busy spinning these other plates that he shouldn't be doing, stardom, attention seeking, taking photos with dubious characters and using them to celebrate 30 years anniversary of the Bahrain Grand Prix as an example. Attention is the broad headline. Whilst he's busy doing this, you can't be giving safety 100% of your attention, can you? And when we're talking about rules and instituting them consistently across all of the related parties, this all comes under the same umbrella, because absolutely it lands at the feet of the FIA, the regulatory body who are in charge of the safety for all participants concerned. Here's why I'm really concerned with this. It's been 30 years since the death of Ayrton Senna in 1994 at the San Marino Grand Prix Tamburello settings. What have we done since then? We've come along massively leaps and bounds with safety. The monocoque is more protected, more robust now to ensure against life-changing injuries in the event of an accident. Passive safety is levels above what it was at 30 years ago. Let's talk about the halo as an example. We've come on massively, but that journey never stops, right? You need to keep kicking on, and that's why when I make reference to Mohammed bin Sulayem taking his foot off the pedal, being concerned with the prize giving gala and making sure that he's front and centre at the Miami Grand Prix with Lando Norris and Donald Trump, that is opportunity cost. That's time that he could be spent making sure that the FIA has the proper infrastructure, improving safety as an example. Time is a wasting. Mohammed bin Sulayem, head of the FIA, in charge of regulatory items and safety. Time is a wasting, sir. It's been 30 years since Senna's death. Mark that in your book. There was a death in karting this weekend past in Scandinavia. Tragic. A 15-year-old. There was very nearly an incident in IndyCar at Detroit with Joseph Newgarden. Safety cannot wait. Motorsport is dangerous, and we need to keep keeping up, keep advancing the safety cause now. And again, when the head of the FIA doesn't have his eye on the ball and is concerned with other things that don't concern him, the valuation of the business, attention seeking and kicking with the winning drivers, politics even, leveraging the Andretti global bid to try and cut off his nose to spite his face. When he's concerned with those sort of things, he's not concerned with what he should be concerned with. Funky. 15 years old, Funky. Imagine. Unbelievable. Crazy. So whilst all this stuff is going on, how are we not reminded of how dangerous this sport can be? Shout out Antoine Hubert, shout out Jules Bianchi. We owe it to them and their memory to continue advancing this sport. There is not a second to waste. Understand then, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, your true remit. That doesn't encapsulate some of the things that you're dealing with here. The politicking, the shenanigans, the trying to hold the commercial body to ransom. What is all this? Time is a wasting. The opportunity cost of cash is a real thing. Whilst you're doing all that stuff, what's not advancing is the things that need to advance. Whilst there are these incidents in motorsport all around the world, 30 years post the anniversary of Ayrton Senna da Silva. Shout out Antoine Hubert. Shout out Jules Bianchi et al. Felipe Massa too. Bloody Jim Clark et al. That's Roland Raxberger, for Pete's sake. You do the memory of these drivers deceased an absolute disservice when we don't continue to advance the safety agenda. As the likes of Jean Todt, Bernie, Max Mosley did before the tenure of Mohammed Ben Sulayem. It's a shame this. It is a crying shame. Visual, I don't like Sulayem, but I support the Andretti endorsement. At what cost though, Visual? Because if it's a genuine endorsement, yeah, perfect. But if you're leveraging it for political ends, as seems to be everything that MBS does, then the intentions are all that's about face now. Anyway, right. 8 p.m. There was something else that I wanted to talk about. I was going to now Ocon, but I don't even have. Mohammed Ben Sulayem has put me off my food. I cannot. Right, back at 8 p.m. later. And we will talk properly then. More news. Checo Perez soon to be announced. Hopefully it comes out today at some point. But you know what? Again, that's another thing that F1 needs to check itself for. And we need to check it for. Hold their feet to the fire, yes, of course, each and every single time. Guys have been legends. Thanks for joining. As always, I digress.